Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and today I am back with another top 20 for 2020. Joe and Jason came up with this idea, so Joe the Horror Man and Jason Horrific Nightmares JM, and I'm sure most of you are already subscribed to these guys because they are awesome, but if not, I'll leave a link to both of their channels in the description box below. Anyway, this theme for top 20 for 2020 is one of my personal favorites, so I had to jump on this, and it was quite a tricky list to come up with, but I'm pretty happy with the 20 movies that I have selected that have made my personal list. And as you can already tell from the title, it is my top 20 80s slasher list. So like all my lists, I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way down to number 1, so let's get started. Okay, and to kick things off at number 20 we have The House on Sorority Row, and this is one of my all-time favourite sort of college or sorority sister house slasher movies for sure. It's a lot of fun, it has some really good characters and some pretty memorable kill scenes throughout, so that is The House on Sorority Row at number 20. Coming in at number 19 we have Stage Fright, and I've always loved this movie for the location. There's a lot of other things that I love about the film obviously, but the location is absolutely awesome. So this is about a group of theatre people. They're planning a production, and basically the cast members start getting picked off one by one by a killer dressed in a bird costume. Kind of crazy costume, but I like it. I think it's pretty neat, pretty fun. And yeah, this one has a really good location, as I've already mentioned. It has some good characters, and I really like one of the ending scenes where all the dead victims are laid out on stage. Really memorable scene, that one. So yeah, that's Stage Fright at number 19. Coming in at number 18 we have Killer Party, and this one I've always considered to be really underrated. It doesn't help that this one does not have an official release, but this movie is fantastic, and it is pretty different and kind of unique compared to most other 80s slasher movies out there, because it almost really feels like two movies in one. So essentially this one pretty much starts out like a traditional slasher. It's all set within a college and sorority houses and stuff like that, but then kind of the second half of the film takes a completely different turn, and it works really well. I love that about this movie. But yeah, this is a fantastic slasher, and it comes in at number 18. Coming in at number 17 we have Slaughter High, and this one is awesome. It's always been one of my personal favourites for a really long time, and I've owned this Arrow DVD for many years now. I absolutely love this one. It's a revenge style slasher, and this one has a really cool location. Basically, Marty, there he is there on the cover. He is the villain within this movie, and he is seeking revenge on being bullied by a group of his old classmates. He decides to set up the old high school for a high school reunion, and he basically seeks his revenge by killing off the people that bullied him one by one. This one has some really awesome and really creative kills in it, and I absolutely love Marty's theme song. So yeah, that is Slaughter High. Coming in at 16 we have Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I really need to pick up the Scream Factory Blu-ray. But anyway, this movie is one of my personal favourites. It's probably my favourite Christmas slasher, or very close to it. This one is absolutely phenomenal. It's definitely a slasher 80s classic for sure, and I really love the killer in this one. I think Billy is pretty awesome. This one has some really good kills in it, and it's just, yeah, a really solid Christmas themed slasher. So that is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Coming in at number 15 we have Evil Laugh, and I'm assuming that quite possibly quite a few of you haven't even seen this one before, but this one comes highly recommended. Definitely check this one out. very, very underrated. I hardly hear anyone ever talk about this when it comes to slashers from the 80s, and I don't know why, because this movie is really, really good. It has some good characters, and it also has one character that's obsessed with horror, which is awesome. I always love that in movies. But yeah, great cast of characters. This one is about a group of medical students who are cleaning up an old orphanage to have it reopened, and of course they get picked off one by one by the killer. There he is there on the top of the cover. It is kind of cheesy though. A lot of the kill scenes are very, very cheesy, but I definitely feel that this movie knows what it's going for, and everything works really, really well. I like the killer. He has a really strange laugh as well, hence the title. But yeah, this one is a lot of fun, really, really underrated. So that is Evil Laugh. Okay, coming in at number 14, we have Nightmare Beach, also known as Welcome to Spring Break. And again, like Evil Laugh, I definitely consider this one to be pretty underrated. It's another one that I don't really hear too many people talk about. But this one is awesome, and I absolutely love this movie for quite a few reasons, actually. One, it has pretty good characters for 80s slasher standards. I love the setting. So this one is set in a beach area during spring break, which is absolutely awesome. I love beach settings in not only horror movies but movies in general. I live in a beach town, so the location for this movie is really, really cool, and I really like the killer in this one. There's sort of a little bit of a murder mystery detective storyline going on within the film too, but I love the killer, and a lot of the kills centre around the killer's motorbike, which again is something that's pretty unique to this movie. So yeah, awesome film. I love this one a lot. That's Nightmare Beach, or Welcome to Spring Break. Coming in at number 13, we have April Fool's Day, and this movie certainly won't be for everyone, although it definitely has its fans. And I do know this is getting a Scream Factory release, even though the artwork is terrible. But yeah, it's getting a Scream Factory release, I think in a month or so's time. So I'm definitely planning to pick that up. But yeah, this has always been one of my favourites. It was one of the earlier slasher movies that I can remember checking out when I started getting into the genre, and it's still remained one of my favourites. Great cast of characters, really, really solid cast within this movie. Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2 is in this one, but yeah, overall really, really solid casting. And I just love the whole premise behind this. It's kind of like a really fun, kind of light-hearted slasher movie. It won't be for everyone because the reveal at the end, which I'm not going to give away, pissed a few people off, I know that, but I like the twist ending. I think it just adds to the whole sort of lightheartedness and fun that this slasher movie went for. So yeah, that's April Fool's Day. Coming in at number 12, and some people may not consider this one a slasher. I do. I consider the Children of the Corn franchise as a whole as a slasher franchise. But yeah, got to go with the original. It's one of my all-time favourite 80s movies, not just slashers, but horror films in general. And I can remember this was one of the ones that I rented pretty early on when I was discovering horror. This was a essential rental for me during high school and the franchise in general, so it definitely holds a pretty special place in my heart. But yeah, one of my all-time favourite slashers from the 80s, hence why it's on the list. Love this one a lot. I just think the whole idea behind a group of kids that have killed off their parents and are worshipping a mysterious god-like entity in a cornfield is fucking creepy. And yeah, it works really, really well. So I love this movie despite its cheesiness. So that's Children of the Corn. Coming in at number 11 is Happy Birthday to Me, and this almost made my top 10. However, I do think the movie is a little bit too long. So that's why it didn't quite make it into the top 10. But 11th spot, I think, is still really, really good for this slasher movie. And this one is fantastic. Like April Fool's Day, I consider the casting to be really, really solid within this movie. The characters are fantastic, really, really well acted, and yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best early 80s slasher movies for sure. Really, really solid all round. Great storyline. I absolutely loved the twist ending. Yeah, what an ending. Really, really awesome. It kind of leads you to believe that there's a few different possible suspects throughout the film until the end reveal, which I really, really like. So it definitely keeps you guessing. Obviously, I already know the ending, but I do like that aspect to this film as well. Pretty good storyline. And the kills, especially for an early 80s slasher movie, the kills are really, really vicious and very, very memorable. So yeah, that's happy birthday to me. Okay, and coming in at number 10, we have Intruder. And I've mentioned this one quite a lot before. It's always been one of my all-time favourite 80s slashers ever since the first time I saw it. And yeah, I love this movie, especially for its location. So if you don't know, this one is set entirely in a grocery store, which I think is really, really cool. I think they make the most of the location within the slasher film. There's a lot of great kills, some very, very creative kills using supermarket equipment, which is awesome. But yeah, always loved this one. That is Intruder. Coming in at number 9, we have the original Maniac with Joe Spinell as Frank Zito. What an amazing, amazing slasher. Very, very grimy, dirty, and just an absolutely fantastic sort of character piece or character study on a very, very sick and deranged serial killer. Absolutely fantastic stuff. This one is amazing. Always been a massive, massive fan of this one, and yeah, some really, really good gore, some good kills, and like I said, very, very gritty, grimy, and dirty, and pretty brutal as well. So that's Maniac. Coming in at number 8, and I really couldn't do my top 20 or even a top 10 list and not include The Burning. This is an essential 80s slasher. It's an absolute classic, and I really don't need to talk too much about it, but it's one of the all-time greatest camp-themed slashers ever made. I have no idea why this didn't become a franchise or at least have a sequel, because yeah, this is just an absolutely awesome, awesome film, and you really cannot mention this movie and not talk about the raft scene, which is just one of the most iconic and classic scenes in slasher history. So yeah, that's The Burning. Coming in at number 7, we have Pieces, and first of all, look how amazing the artwork is on the Arrow DVD. Absolutely amazing. It's one of my favourite commissioned artworks for a horror movie for sure. Just sums up the movie perfectly. This has always been one of my personal favourites. I really, really love the storyline, despite how sort of cheesy and hokey it is in parts. Really, really good stuff. I love the college setting within the film, and the kills within this movie are absolutely incredible. They're very, very stylish, and yeah, the set pieces and the kills within this movie are just absolutely incredible. So that's Pieces. Coming in at number 6, we have Halloween 2, and a few of you are probably surprised that this isn't closer to number 1 on the list, but nope, there's 5 other slasher movies that beat this one out. In saying that though, this is an absolutely amazing film. You guys already know how big of a fan I am of the Halloween franchise in general, and this is just an absolutely phenomenal sequel. I really don't need to talk much on this one at all. So yeah, that is Halloween 2. Coming in at number 5 and 5th spot, we are now down to the top 5. So we have the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And I was kind of tossing up whether I should include the original or Dream Warriors on this list. They both come very, very close, but the original just beats it slightly out for me. I like the more sort of serious and dark tone slightly more in the original film. Amazing cast of characters, of course. Obviously, the original film gave us the introduction of the amazing slasher villain Freddy Krueger, and there's just something really, really scary and creepy about a killer entering your dreams, because we all need to go to sleep. So the original's a classic. I don't really need to go too much more on that. So yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. Coming in at number 4, we have the original Sleepaway Camp, and this is my all-time favourite camp-themed slasher movie. I absolutely love this movie. To me, this is pretty much the perfect camp slasher. It's a lot of fun. I really, really like the cast of characters in this one. Has some good kills within the film as well. The camp setting and location is fantastic, and we all know the whole reveal at the end of the movie is pretty awesome, especially for the time this movie came out. So amazing stuff. Everyone, I'm sure, knows what Sleepaway Camp is. So yeah, that's Sleepaway Camp. Coming in at number 3, we have the original Child's Play movie, and this movie holds a really, really special place in my heart. I'm sure most of you have heard me tell this story before, but this was the very, very first horror movie that I saw many, many years ago. This is the movie that really got me into the horror genre, and I've loved it ever since. So what an absolute classic. You guys all know this movie. You all know the character of Chucky. Absolutely amazing stuff. So that's the original Child's Play. Coming in at number 2, and this was kind of tricky because my number 2 and number 1 spot kind of could have gone either way, but this one didn't quite make my number 1 because my number 1 has always been my favourite 80s standalone slasher of all time, so I had to stick with that. But coming in at a really, really respectable number 2 is Friday the 13th Part 2. My all-time favourite Friday movie. To me, this is pretty much the perfect movie within the Friday the 13th franchise. It just has everything I love about the franchise as a whole within this movie. Amy Steele as Ginny is my favourite final girl of all time. She is just absolutely fantastic in this film. I really, really like the cast of characters. I think the portrayal of Jason within this movie is really, really cool. It has a good variety of kills, and yeah, it's just an absolutely almost flawless slasher movie. So that is Friday the 13th Part 2. And coming in at number 1, quite easily, I already knew well before constructing this list that this would be in my number 1 position, and that of course goes to my Bloody Valentine. This has always been my all-time favourite 80s slasher movie, and I really cannot see that changing. So this is an absolutely fantastic film. I love Harry Warden. I think he is a fantastic killer, and why the hell have we not got a figurine of him already? I was kind of hoping that NECA would bring out a My Bloody Valentine Harry Warden figure along with the upcoming release, but sadly that did not happen. But anyway, back onto the movie, because that's what we're here to talk about. What can I say? To me, this is pretty much the perfect 80s slasher movie. I love the location within this film. I love the small town. I think the whole setting with the mine is absolutely fantastic. What an awesome location for a slasher. This one has some really, really good characters within this film. I love the cast of characters within this film. Definitely some of the better ones when it comes to 80s slashers. And the kills in this movie are absolutely phenomenal. They're pretty brutal, pretty gory. Well, if you have the special edition, they are. And there's quite a high body count within this film. Plus, I love that the killer kind of has a trademark of a Love Heart chocolate box, which he puts around after his kills. I really, really like that aspect of the film as well. But yeah, absolutely amazing slasher movie, and that's why it sits at number 1. That is My Bloody Valentine. Okay, so there you go. That's my top 20 1980s slasher list. What an absolutely awesome list. Despite how difficult it was, I had an absolute blast coming up with my top 20 slashers. So guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of my top 20? Let me know what some of your personal favourite movies are that made my top 20 in the comments. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing everyone else's top 20 80s slasher lists. I know quite a few people are planning to upload theirs, which is really awesome, and yeah, I cannot wait to check everyone else's out. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.